welcome back to the Welsh Wire. So glad to have you with us today. We are talking with my friend, Amy Ritsema. Amy is the owner of OnSite Wellness in beautiful Grand Rapids. And Amy, welcome back to the Welsh Wire.
Thanks, Sheri. It's great to be here. I'm so excited.
It's good to see your face.
Yes.
And it's great to have you back again. You were a guest with us some time ago.
Long time ago.
Yeah, and we see each other on a regular basis through some
Yep.
of our SBAM Leadership Council events, but you and I connected in a really fun and really unexpected way a few months ago. We started
Yeah, we
chatting
did.
about how life is, and we're like, wait a minute, we started talking about this whole war for talent thing, and that's what we're gonna talk about today, winning the war for talent with wellness, because you brought up an idea at that point in time that I had never really considered, but I thought, hey, this is a great concept that we want to kind of flesh out today. So Amy, for our listeners who have not heard from you before and don't know you, tell us a little bit about you and OnSite Wellness and what you guys do.
Yeah, so I'm Amy Ritsema. I co-own OnSite Wellness. I have a business partner that we run OnSite Wellness. Believe it or not, just recently we figured out we're in year 15, approaching 15 years of business. So that kind of got hidden over the last year. I think it just kind of happened, right?
Snuck up on you, I know.
Yeah, it did. Totally snuck up on us, but that's okay. We're super excited about it. But we work to provide well-being solutions for organizations around the state of Michigan and beyond. So really partnering with organizations to unlock the potential of their employees and bringing them well-being solutions that not only make for better employees, but better businesses.
Yeah, I love that. And I love the idea that it's more than just wellness right now. We all have a concept of what wellness is, but it's about well-being.
It is. It's a bigger picture.
It is. And we'll talk about that a little bit more too, because I'm sure already folks are saying, what? I don't get the difference. Like, what does that mean?
I don't understand. Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone right now is talking about talent acquisition issues. I mean, we hear that. That's what you and I started chatting about, that day that we reconnected, and how hard it is to find good people right now. And, we all know that that's an issue, but I think you and I both take the approach that we're, rather than just talking about the problems, we're much more interested in helping companies find solutions, right? Like the services you provide, yeah, exactly. Both of us. I mean, quit talking about the problem. Let's find a solution. We might have one, right? And you had a really interesting thought about that. And that conversation is what led to us coming together today, because you have an idea for something our listeners can do that will help them attract and retain really talented employees. And it has to do with wellness. So tell us about that, Amy.
Right. So when you really think about retention and recruitment, so much of it is about how do I as an employee feel at the organization I'm working, right? So when we feel cared for, then we're more apt to stay, we're more apt to give. And so when I think about like well-being culture and retention and recruitment, I think really hard about how do I feel as an employee within this organization. And that well-being culture is can be such a key aspect in that. And if we can get that feeling and that culture within an organization, I'm all in, right? And I think more than anything in the last 18 months, people are really getting a feel for how do I fit into this culture in this organization? And I think that's what we're starting to see, and the rumors we're starting to hear, and the rumblings on top of not being able to find workers. There's also a lot of rumblings around this. I heard somebody call it the hiring tsunami, which sounds really scary, but
it does, but that is what they're calling it. It's so true.
Right, because how many people are going to look back on the last 18 months and go, how was I treated over the last 18 months?
That's right.
And if it wasn't a caring, empathetic, well-being type culture, they're going to go look. This is the
Absolutely.
time. So I think
That will
we're going to see a lot of shifting of positions as well. So how are you going to hold on to your good ones and attract the good ones who are out there looking? I mean,
Right.
ultimately, we want to find the good ones who want to move, right?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And we'll talk a little bit more about some tactics and how to watch that. But, I think it's important to note too, that well-being culture, it's important in retention, but it's also important in attraction. I mean, sometimes that does get missed, that you are establishing your culture with a prospective candidate from the very first contact that you make with them. The
Absolutely.
emails you send, the phone calls, how you communicate, how you follow up, how welcoming you are to them when they arrive. Do you provide them with a cool glass of water or a soda or a cup of coffee when they come in? Is there a receptionist? Does anybody greet them and talk to them while they're waiting to be seen? I mean, all the different touch points that happen in that early phase of attracting and interviewing a candidate is all part of your well-being culture too. So it's so interesting. And you mentioned something too about, employee satisfaction.
Right.
That employee satisfaction is really about, being passionate about your job and being happy and liking your job. But it's a super important component of employee engagement, which we know from HR circles. Anyone who's listening right now is in HR, employee engagement is the ticket to success. I mean, this is the standard by which successful companies are measured. You want high employee engagement scores because you know that when you do that, first of all, you got happy, employees who stay, your turnover is low, but your company's running like a top, man. You're running a top performance.
Yeah. So I love this definition, and I'm going to read it because I'm going to get it wrong otherwise. So this is what I love. So a definition of workplace well-being. All right. So with that, it's creating an environment to promote a state of contentment, which allows an employee to flourish and achieve their full potential for the benefit of themselves and their organization.
Yeah.
So when we think about that, if we have an environment that promotes contentment, that's going to be huge, because not only am I content at my job, that means I'm not looking.
That's right.
That means I'm buying in when I'm there. I'm present at my job.
Yep.
I am going to give more to that organization. I am going to be all in.
Right.
When I'm all in, then my customer service is all in. My going above and beyond when I need to is going to be all in. Like you mentioned, I'm happier at work because I'm content there.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's that retention. We all know how much money it costs to replace somebody.
Right.
It's like, correct me.
Thousands.
It's like the salary and a half or something by the time you find somebody and train them and replace somebody. It's crazy.
The cost is astronomical. Yeah. And no one wants turnover, right? So you want to keep the good folks that you have.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I would argue that, a highly engaged, highly satisfied employee, I mean, that attitude and that spirit is contagious in the office, much like that of a dissatisfied.
I was going to say that one bad egg, right?
Yep.
That kind of causes all the ripples.
So listen, if we're going to have something catch hold in the office, we want highly satisfied and engaged employees to catch hold and to be the DNA of our culture, for sure.
For, if I'm happy where I work, who's your best recruiter?
Yeah, right. And, interesting you bring that up, because employee referrals are the number one source of hire for companies right now. So once again, if you are not taking good care of your employees, do you really think that they're going to refer and bring their friends and neighbors and family members to the... Heck no, they're not going to recommend it.
Not even if they're going to give me cash, am I going to tell a friend?
That's right.
To go work there, even if it means I'm going to make $100, right?
That's right. Yeah. All these things are true. And, I guess if we need to share any anecdotal evidence, you shared some information about employee benefit news on a survey that was done.
I did.
a little
So
while
I
ago.
want to say it was a couple years ago, but it was really interesting that they had a survey that said, even if people don't participate in a wellness program at your organization, they still will stay there for that reason, which I find super interesting. And I really kind of thought about that for a little. I'm like, okay, but they're not participating. So what does that mean? But when you think about, again, just that caring, empathetic culture, maybe I don't need the wellness program. Maybe I'm not really in a position where I want to participate right now. But the fact that I know it's there and the fact that I know that I could participate has an impact. It says something about the organization, even if I choose not to participate.
Right. Isn't that so interesting?
Yeah, I think it's awesome because we never get full participation in any in any program. There's always going to be those people who don't want to participate, but that doesn't mean they're not paying attention that it's there.
Right. Right. Yeah, that is a really fascinating thing. That's great. So for those who have those kind of programs in place, in the midst of tightening our belts, like many of us have done, throughout the time of the pandemic, that's obviously a program that if anyone's considered cutting, maybe they should think twice about, because it turns out it might just mean more to your employees than what you realize, even if they can't use it right now.
In the long run, it might pay off, right?
Yep, exactly. So, really the biggest part of getting a good understanding of that well-being culture is really dialing in to what that means. So, let's talk about that a little bit more, Amy. I mean, tell us what defines well-being culture.
Right. So well-being culture. So a lot of times when we talk wellness, people are thinking, oh, we're going to do a water challenge. We're going to do a steps challenge. And those are all great. We really want people to practice those healthy habits. They're fun. They can be a rewarding thing to do as an organization. We can have fun competitions that helps, promote good camaraderie, right? Again, adding to the culture. But you got to think, I really like it when we can think bigger picture. So when I think about well-being culture, it's about anything that's going to help me as an employee with my overall well-being. So I think SBAM actually put out a survey, and this again was probably a couple of years ago, but they talked about some of the benefits that people are looking for, and they included things like student loan repayments and identity theft protection, and believe it or not, this was prior to COVID, flexible work schedules, right? So, and hasn't that become like a huge thing for people?
For sure.
It's interesting. I was talking to a group and we're all remote, and she was surveying them about coming back to work. And out of the 100 people who answered the survey, only one wanted to go back to full-time in the office.
Oh, wow.
And I thought that was really significant. And then there were a handful that said, no, I don't want to come back at all. And there were various reasons for that. Yeah. But this is obviously one company, but out of 100 people, probably 90 said, I want to continue this kind of at home, at the office kind of combo thing.
Right. The hybrid or flexible model that
what does that
you talk
say?
about.
I mean, we have really grown accustomed to being able to go out at lunch and water our flowers, or change the laundry, or I need to run my kids to the doctor, and being able to balance our lives in a different way than we used to. And so to me, that's well-being.
Right.
That has a lot to do. Financial stuff when it comes to student loan repayments, with all of the young workers coming into, and I'm not saying this has to happen, but I'm just saying helping our younger employees with their financial well-being is going to be huge moving forward.
Right.
So how are we helping people in all areas of well-being, not just our physical health?
Right.
Mental health is huge right now. How are we doing that? To me, that kind of work-life balance, that helps with my mental well-being.
Sure does.
Right?
Yes,
so
it sure does.
Oh, flexible work schedule. What does that have to do with well-being? It has a lot to do with well-being. It helps me with my stress management, helps me with my mental health. allows me to do other things that I need to do and balance so that I can be all in at work and I can also be in at home in whatever way works for me. So that's kind of how I like to try to get people to understand that this well-being picture is bigger, right? Than just the programs we're offering, which are great and serve a fantastic purpose. But think big picture.
Yeah, and it's holistic too, right? I mean, it encompasses so many other things than what, as you say, eating carrots and, how much water did you drink and how many steps did you get in last week? Like, it's so much bigger than that. And as you say, encompasses some things you might not have ever thought of before.
Right. I always joke about dry cleaning. Now, I can't use this joke anymore because I don't know who's going to dry cleaners anymore. In fact, I think the one down the street from me is now closed, which, I'm like, oh, I didn't even think about dry cleaners as, but people were like, how is getting dry cleaning pickup and drop off in an office wellness? And I'm like, it's work-life balance. It's one less thing that I have to do. It's stress management, right? I got to come up with a new example because I'm not sure dry cleaning. We've all changed our work wardrobe. So I got to come up with a new one, but it's still
right. But the point is, I mean, that it's part of what you offer in terms of benefits.
Correct.
That make the employees' work life experience so much more rich. Right.
Exactly.
Because you simplify it and ease it for them. And these become sticking points for why they don't want to leave. They also become attraction points for why they might want to join you, right?
Absolutely.
So they're getting a good feeling from the very first phone call with you, from the invitation to interview, from the moment they step into your lobby, the people that they meet. Now you roll out a benefits package that backs up everything you've already demonstrated in real life about how you care for them. I mean, weighing out multiple offers, as most good candidates are these days, these are the kind of items, well-being culture related items that are going to pop you to the top of the list.
And how do you show those to even get them in the door, right? Like, are you promoting these types of things on your social media? Is it on your website? Is it out there for me to even be attracted to your company? What types of things are you talking about? Like, are you promoting this family environment? Are you promoting this fun environment? I know for me, when we talk to candidates, they're like, oh, we love what we see on your social media. It looks like you have such a cool place to work. Okay. Well, isn't that what you want to hear, right?
Exactly.
Like, spend that time and that energy on social media and your website, but are you only promoting the product or are you also promoting your people?
That's right. Yeah. I mean, everyone has to have a careers page that doesn't just list all their openings, right? But really talks about what it's like to work there, a day in the life and some testimonials that really folks a glimpse into that.
Yeah. Why do you like working
culture
here?
Is like,
yeah.
For sure. And it seems to Amy, like it's probably a good idea if you're a well-established company and you think things are going well, to sit down with a cross section of your employees from every different area, depending on your size, right? You might need to work at getting the right folks in the room, but to hear from them about what matters to them. Because you may believe that you've had this dialed in, but now as we come to our post-pandemic world, as you say, a lot of things have shifted. So what mattered before, like the dry cleaners, maybe doesn't matter today. But what didn't matter so much before, flexible work schedules do. So it might be a great time too to take inventory.
Absolutely.
Of those things and hear from your employees. What is it they want or need? How can you make this well-being culture even better?
Right. And I always have my caveat to that. Make sure you're ready to listen and don't lead them. If you lead them in those conversations, then you have to be like, if you say you're willing to offer this, then you're going to have to offer that if that's what they want. So, opening up, I love not leading when we do those types of surveys and actually allowing them to have a conversation. And sometimes it's super helpful to bring in an outside person to maybe run some of that. I don't care who that is, but get that third party to do those focus groups or that survey for you so that you can get some honest feedback.
That's a great suggestion. Yeah.
That way it's not like, I can't say that, human resources is in the room. I can't.
Right. Oh yeah. And if it's a leader in an organization, I can't tell the boss that XXX, I don't like this, or I want that. Yeah,
Correct.
for sure.
And
For sure. But yeah,
I think, and that comes down to, are you as a leadership team open to listening and making some of those changes if you can, and then addressing why you can't. I think that's important too. I mean, if there is a reoccurring something and for some business reason you cannot do that, I mean, you have to explain yourself, right?
Yeah, you sure do. Yeah, you got to be honest and transparent about that process, what you're able to do, and if not, why not? Yeah, and folks, I think folks can understand that too.
Yeah.
And it's work, but if you as a business owner or leader need help on the care and well-being culture side of things, I mean, you can find someone to help you with this. Obviously, your business is a great example of that. I think the thing that we want to make sure our listeners take away is that this takes time.
Right.
The change won't happen overnight, but it can have a huge lasting impact in your talent attraction and retention. There's no time like the present to get it started, to get that difference started.
It's really interesting. I listened to a podcast over the weekend while I was gardening, right? Doing all the things. And I highly recommend it. I'm just going to give a plug out there. It was a Simon Sinek, Brene Brown conversation. And apparently Simon Sinek has a new book coming out. And it was all about finite versus infinite thinking. And it really was kind of fascinating because from a business standpoint, we get so caught up in the numbers. Like this has to be done this quarter. This has to be done. This is what we have to hit at the end of the year. And it's very finite thinking. And when we do that, it leaves the people a little bit behind.
Yes.
And so when I was listening to that and kind of trying to apply it to what we do, and creativity and people and how people are what's going to drive your business and make you successful.
That's right.
It's not necessarily the dollar figures, because if the leader is only focusing on the dollar figures, when they leave, there's nothing left. What is the business when that leader then, moves on to the next thing? So, I mean, that was, there was a lot more to it. I highly recommend it, but I'm just saying it was just, that's what caught me from the standpoint of how does well-being and a caring culture and fit into this infinite thought process that nothing's bad. Nothing that's happened is necessarily a negative. It's just the next thing that's happening, and it's going to. So as an organization, when you think about a well-being culture and a caring culture, there's no wrong answer. It's just going to lead you down the path to bigger and better things when it comes to that. If that's your goal, each step's going to bring you closer to what that is.
Right. And so, your point is start the journey, right? I mean, start one step at a time. And there's no right or wrong. There's no prescribed way to do it, but start the journey because it matters. It will make a difference, and it won't have immediate impact tomorrow, but the impact will start. The well-being culture will begin, and it will get better and better over time. Yeah. So Amy, if listeners want to get a hold of you, they've heard something they really like, they want to connect with you, want some ideas or have questions, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Yeah, they can always reach out by phone, right? My number is 616-309-2775. Email works too, and it's just amy@onsitewellnessllc.com. Or go to our website, onsitewellnessllc.com. You can find me there too.
Perfect. Well, Amy, thank you so much for being our guest today.
Thanks for having me.
Amy Ritsema is the co-owner of OnSite Wellness in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and we are thrilled to have her today talking about how we can win the war for talent with wellness. And we're going to do it, Amy.
We're going to do it. Let's do it. Thanks, Sheri.
Thank you.